SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming from Volusia Speedway Park. We're here with Friday night winner Buddy Kofoid. Buddy, you have run decent here, just couldn't break through. Thought you had one a couple years ago or last year, and the wheel broke out, and you get one tonight. I mean, it's got to feel good to get one at a track where David's probably the best guy here.
No, it definitely feels good, just, you know, for a lot of reasons, obviously, but no, David is really good here, and half miles are definitely where he shines compared to me in a lot of situations. I feel like as a team and myself, I've definitely picked up on it, and you know, won at the Grove a couple years ago, and been getting better here, and finally won here, and you know, getting better at times at Knoxville, and feeling pretty decent at Eldora. Just trying to put it all together now, but you know, it's good to start the season off finally right. You know, not having an issue with an engine or you know, mechanical failure, or just maybe lacking a little bit, which is a lot here. So happy to start the last two races really good, and hopefully going tomorrow and try and go for a big gator.
You know, the track was fast, but you could race. I mean, it was racy. How important was it to get the lead early and then just kind of set your own pace around this place?
I feel like it's important, not only here, but and really in today's day and age, in sprint car racing in general, is because everyone's so good and so fast, and you know, especially a track like this where clean air and speed is always going to prevail, and you know, just trying to control the race, but also, you know, you can. The only bad thing is you don't really get to move around as much, and David found the bottom, and you know, he kind of threw me for a loop in traffic just because I didn't know if the bottom was that much better or if it was just my pace slowing down racing with traffic. And you know, I tried it once and wasn't really happy with it to completely give up on the top, and just tried to stay true to the top and run it harder and pick off lap guys faster, and luckily it worked out.
When a guy like David's chasing you like that, you see him moving around, how do you approach that? I mean, Donnie has talked for years, he just does his thing and that's it, he doesn't worry about the other guy. What do you do, and how do you approach a race like tonight where you see him inside of you, he gets by you, then you get back by him, you let every lap, but boy, the last 5 laps were good.
Yeah, no, I think younger me probably would have overthought it a little bit and maybe moved around too much. You know, where now I've been racing with the Outlaws now for a few years, and I've always said that I feel like racing with them made me a better driver and a smarter driver. And, you know, I think I've been able to, you know, just trust my car, and like I said, I've felt good enough where I could pull off the top and try the bottom, but feel comfortable enough to still, even though I know I'm getting pressure on the bottom, get back to the top and have confidence that I can run it harder and better and get through traffic better. And I feel like it finally, you know, bought me some space. So that's just a testament to Dylan, Nate, and Gage for giving me a car that, you know, I can trust and be comfortable and you know, get more out of it. And like I said, it does throw you for a loop. I think just I've been able to process things a little bit better and mature more, and just try and rely on that.
Coming down to the end, he's right on you. You split the lap cars of Jedrzejek and I believe Brock Zerfoss. To me, that sealed it. Take me through that going into turn one, splitting them, and being able to kind of distance yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so it's funny. When I left turn 4, I don't remember what happened, but I remember not getting off good and kind of blowing the tires off it, and didn't get to Casey's right rear. So I kind of tried to get lower just in case David had to run, because I left the corner spinning the tires, and Casey ran the bottom, and I got just to his right rear, and then Brock was actually just ahead enough where I could shoot across the marbles and kind of beat him to that patch off 2 and kind of block him out. And I didn't know if David, you know, got by them quick enough, but I figured that them 2 guys were crucial because they were top and bottom, and just tried to run the hell out of it last few laps too.
You mentioned the half miles. How do you get better on these half miles? What have you done to get better at Volusia, Williams Grove, Knoxville, Eldora, which really has so many races that's where the championship can be won or lost?
I think simply just racing them more has helped me. And we've gotten our car better, and our engines, I feel like every year get night and day better and reliable. They hit harder, they're drivable. Like I said, getting our car better and seeing the same place again, and also just Dylan and I getting more time together.
Well, congratulations on the win, getting off to a good start, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. Thank you to everybody who's already in the chat, anybody who joins, and of course, phone calls. A lot to talk about. DirtCar Nationals is in the book, or in the books, I should say. And, 3 different winners, probably a couple surprises. Spencer Baston on Wednesday. Then we have Buddy Kofoid on Friday. And, of course, Anthony Macri on Saturday. The racing was good all week. Sorry for the lighting and the lines going up and down. I'm in a hotel. So, I'm making do with what I got, and I wanted to get this out of the way this week. So let's get to the chat and wait for any phone calls. Shout out to Bill Rose Racing after a strong run Saturday at Volusia. With that being said, any word on Zach Hampton for this year? Not that I know of. I have not heard anything about him or what he's doing. I could see him maybe getting a ride at Knoxville, something like that. But, I think I don't know how much stuff he has left of his own equipment. So I don't expect him. I don't know if we're going to see him this year. And as for Bill Rose, I thought Casey Jedrzejek did better than I thought he would at Volusia. He's never gone that fast. And with how quick the track was on Saturday night, I thought he adjusted well. He was contending in the top 5, going for 4th at one point, lost the left wing panel on the front wing. I'm sure that didn't help anything. I was impressed with him. Better than I expected. I'm anxious to see him the rest of the year. How about that big gator going to PA? Yeah, not something I expected. Some people after my 90 days, some people are like, wow, it's a big half mile. Look at Anthony Macri's stats at Volusia. They're not great. In fact, he said it in his interview Saturday night, way more misses than hits at Volusia. So just he was quick all week. He timed well. And I think that's the key for these World of Outlaws events. I mean, you time well, you get in the top 8. At that point, you're drawing, and you can stay there. Anthony looked good, though. Gravel got him on the last lap Saturday, going into 1 and 2. Anthony Macri diamonded off something he saw in the 360 race, which, again, Anthony's learning. He continues to progress. He continues to get better. And he took the big gator and the win. So, big weekend for Anthony Macri. Any more news on what happened between KJ and DGRD? Yeah, by now everybody knows that there's an embezzlement case pending. It's a civil case against Dennis Gainey. And, now Caleb Johnson got out, or I should say got out. Dennis, according to people close to Caleb, Dennis called him and said, we can't do as many races. And Caleb obviously is doing this for a living. So then, I wrote a story, and obviously I had quotes from Dennis Gainey. They were, as I stated in the story, according to him, meaning it was a straight newsy story at that point. There was no signs of embezzlement. So I didn't, obviously I didn't question him on it because I knew he lost his job. He admitted he lost his job. So, and that's why I put according to in straight news stories like that. Now, obviously, some things have changed. There's an embezzlement case pending, and it's, I believe the number I've seen is 5,172,000, something like that. I know social media has been lighting up with it, with the case and the charges, and it has not developed into a criminal case yet. So that's what I know as of now, and I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with this. And I'm obviously, I have to say, innocent until proven guilty. I mean, I don't work for ICE, contractors. So we'll see what develops with it. This is something that's going to be ongoing. Do you miss the negative wind chill of Central PA? Look, it doesn't bother me. I will say I froze at Volusia. I had a jacket. It's just a different type of cold. It's very damp. It's almost like you're sweating, but you're cold. I always miss Central PA. I like Central PA. I'm sure Dr. Midnight will make fun of me saying that, because it was, I believe, last night -5 or something like that. So I'm good with it. It doesn't bother me, and I look forward to getting home on Thursday. Danny Dietrich had a tough DirtCar Nationals. Any insight? I know he had a motor issue the one night. I believe it was Friday. He took his second lap of his time trials. He felt the motor burning up and shut it down before he hurt it too much. And then he scratched for the night. So it just wasn't a good weekend for him, which that's happened with Danny before. And then he comes out and wins double digits. So it's people. I hear drivers say this all the time. Anthony Macri said it, just because you do well at Volusia doesn't mean you're going to do well during the season. Just because you do poorly at Volusia doesn't mean you're going to do poorly all season. It's a different animal altogether. So we'll see how Danny fares when he goes back to Central Pennsylvania. I've kind of disagreed with you on Tanner Holmes' prospects for this year, but that was a really bad week he just had at Volusia. Yeah, he's made one out, I believe, 1 out of 7 shows? I think it was 2 out of 7 shows now. He's going to struggle. He's going to struggle. He's never seen Volusia, and I'd be willing to bet he hasn't seen a track like Volusia, the speed that they carry there. So I'm not really surprised at all. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a learning curve for Tanner Holmes. And I think this just tells you how tough it is out in the road. Again, he's going to do probably well out on the West Coast when High Limit goes out there. We'll see how he does at Vegas, in March. We'll be there covering that event. But yes, it's gonna be a learning curve. It's gonna be a tough year. I think people who say, "Oh, he deserves this ride or that ride." I've heard it about Caleb Montgomery. I've heard it about other people. I tend to take a wait and see type of attitude toward it, because it is a different animal out there. And just because somebody does well in the West Coast or the East Coast or just in the Midwest doesn't mean they're going to be great on the road. So Tanner's got a big learning curve ahead of him, and we'll see how he performs. Anthony's car looks a little light on the sponsorship. What's up with no C&D rigging? The company was sold. So yes, C&D rigging not on Anthony's car. Yes, they lost white cap from what I gather, or at least on the car. So yeah, a little light on sponsorship. The performance at the DirtCar Nationals doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. So we'll see if they pick somebody up. Do you enjoy any iguanas chili in Florida? No, I don't eat chili to begin with. So I'm sure as hell not going to eat iguana chili. So no. Sounds like a sugar bear question. Macri was consistent all week. Glad to see Spencer and Kyle Pruitt get off to a good start also. Ready for the season to get going. Yeah, I always like the big events. I guess I become I shouldn't admit this, but I will. I become a big event snob almost. There's been so many big events in this sport with it just growing. As far as these higher paying shows, these higher profile shows, I've really gravitated toward them more. And with some recent changes at SprintCarUnlimited.com, I might be on the road more this year. Just because, like I said, recent changes at SprintCarUnlimited.com and our platform, you could see me travel a little more. So, but yeah, I love the big events. And DirtCar Nationals, just walking in the pit area, seeing the fresh paint scheme, seeing what the new season brings, and knowing some of the races. Obviously, the Kings Royal is one that I highlight every year, Knoxville Nationals, just the higher paying events, and Tuscarora 50, Weichert, Speed Week. So yeah, I'm ready to get going. Jeremy Elliott had chili in Wisconsin. No, I didn't. I had I believe it was the noodle soup or the rice soup, which was really good. Chili. What is more surprising to you? Jedrzejek leading the rookies or Williamson fifth in points? Good question, Chase. Last year Williamson made every A main at Volusia at DirtCar Nationals, which was impressive last year. I believe I wrote about it. Could see it be a 90-9 later this week. Just saying. The one tomorrow, I'm sure will rub some people the wrong way, but because it's taped already. But I'd say Jedrzejek. That was more surprising. He's never seen anything like that, and he's a dry, slick guy. He's in Ohio. I would say Jedrzejek. And Emerson Axum didn't look great, and he's performed well there in the past. So maybe we have a rookie battle, and maybe Jedrzejek's the guy who's kind of the fly in the Emerson Axum, Ashton Torgerson ointment. So I'm really anxious to see how he develops. What do you think about Wu post after Macri's win about where to send the contract? Also, what did Macri mean by if he won a Gator, he would call it a season? I don't know. I didn't hear that part because obviously I'm in the pit area and I'm already talking to guys. But he's tied with Gravel and Buddy Kofoid in points, so obviously the World of Outlaws are going to say that. Macri will not go on a national tour this year. I think he likes doing the true outlaw thing, popping in and out when he wants, going home when he wants, maybe some sponsorship as well. Obviously he lost a couple sponsors just the way things went this year. So I don't think that I don't think there'll be any ink on that contract. But great performance by Macri this week. And as I said this morning on a 90 at 9, he is the best true outlaw guy in the country. There's no denying that. And I think in the last 10 years, he's really developed every year, just progressing. And that's something I like to see. So kudos to him and his team. Can you keep us fans current on this season's provisional count? Would love to see that stat. Yes, I'm going to keep provisionals. I'm going to keep a bunch of different stats this year. I just got to, get started on it. I get back on Thursday evening, and then Friday I can start in on that. Also, the deep dive will be Friday this week. There will be a deep dive, and it will be Friday. How about a Dennis Gainey interview this week? I don't think Dennis Gainey is going to be doing any interviews. And fact of the matter is his attorney probably wouldn't let him do it anyway. So it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if I called, did call, didn't call. No attorney's going to let their client talk to the media. Keep work area totals. I thought it would never end on Saturday. I don't know. Jesus. God. So, I don't think I have enough space on my laptop to keep work area totals. A little disappointed in Brenham Crouch results. Thought he was headed in the right direction. I think he is. I mean, he climbed a wheel Saturday. It was Hank Davis. It was kind of a car shut off, and Brenham really had nowhere to go and hopped a wheel. It happens. I thought he had some speed at times. I do expect him to be fine. I expect him to have a better high limit season than he did last year. It's always tough at Volusia. Personally, I wouldn't even go to Volusia if it were me. If I was a team and I wasn't running World of Outlaws, I probably don't go to Volusia, especially when the air's like that. And it's just hard on motors, and I wouldn't want to start behind. But it's worked out for a lot of guys, and then some guys it didn't work out. How about Donnie Schatz passing 40 cars in 3A mains? And I knew this topic would come up, and there's been a lot of thoughts on how Donnie will do this year. Donnie looked different this weekend. Watch some of the events on Friday, for instance. He was running third in a B main. Nobody was near him. He could have finished third. I think the last 2 years, Donnie finishes third and just moves on. He went after it. He got up on the lip. He was diamonding off corners. He was more aggressive. I saw a different Donnie Schatz this week than I've seen in 2-3 years. I mean, it's plain and simple on Dirt Vision. I saw it in person. I asked him about it. Saturday when I ran into him, I said, "You look totally different." He said, "I feel more comfortable." And he said, "And I'm not even comfortable yet because obviously the Maxim versus J&J, a couple other things that they're working on. They had some rear end problems this week, so that was an issue. But 3 top 10s, a top 5. I was impressed with Donnie this week. I thought it was a good start, but it was the way he drove the car is what stood out to me. Not so much the results. If the Woo is going to give a show up points night, why not let the teams drop one of the 4 nights instead of just tossing out the first night? Guy like Baston kind of gets screwed on the best night. They knew it ahead of time, though. When they got rid of that practice night on Tuesdays, that's when they went to the first race being non-points. Now, do I like it? No. Because to me, if you're racing a series race, it counts. The only time to me it shouldn't count is when you're doing a split field, because at that point you're not running against everybody. But if you're running against everybody, and I don't even care if the format's different, meaning where you're not lining heads up in heats or whatever, it should have been a points night to me. I don't know what the practice night means. I don't know why that makes a difference, but that's when they did that. That's when they made that first night a non-points night. So, but yes, it doesn't benefit him. Yes, he kind of takes it on the chin there, but everybody knew it going in. Any word on the 17 GP and TJ Stutz' plans? No. Not as of now. And the starts were not good for either of them. I just don't know if you walk down that road. There's 17 regular touring guys now. There comes a point where you get past 13 to 15, and it doesn't make sense. Unless you're like Rico or somebody like that. But for those teams, I just don't think it makes sense. It's going to be harder to make money. I just don't. I wouldn't make that move if I were either of them. You also get half the tow money for half the year. How well funded is the 2C team? Do you think the car is holding Cole Macedo back after his runs in Australia? They had some problems this week. They had well, look, if you don't time well, he said it, you're in the back with guys who, as he put it, just squirrels, and you're going to get nuts. So anything can happen when you're in that mix. So you got to time better. That's first and foremost. He had an engine problem. He had to switch cars on Saturday. It was rough last year on the 2C and Cole Macedo. Is it holding him back? In Australia, he wasn't running against everybody. I mean, David Gravel wasn't down there. Macri wasn't down there. So Carson Macedo wasn't in the 41. So, I mean, I don't think we could take Australia and just say, he should have been as good as that. So is it holding him back? He must not have thought so, because he stayed with that team. But they got a ways to go. They definitely did not have a good week. They went through some equipment as well. Not a good start to the season. Woo rules. Thought you had to run the B main to use a feature provisional, a BS woo rule. I've seen guys run the C main for years and be able to take a provisional. I never heard of a rule where you had to run the last chance showdown. Saw it at the Grove a number of times. Kerry Madsen, Joey Saldana, they didn't make the B and they took provisionals. No, you can take a provisional whenever. Macri is smart to pick and choose. It's less stressful and your team remains fresh on a pick and choose schedule. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. If you're struggling, you don't have to remain on tour. You can go home, regroup, do what you need to do. Absolutely. But the downside is you don't get tow money. The downside is you don't get point money at the end of the year. There's a lot of different elements to that. There's give and take. There's some good, some bad. And when you're running a pick and choose schedule, you've got to win. You've got to win races. There's the pressure to win races to build up that bank account. Yes, Marks did it in 2022. Macri's done it a couple times. But he had to win. When he only won 8 races, it wasn't as good. So there's give and take there. There's some good, some bad. And you just got to win races. No matter what, I don't care if you're with a series. I don't care if you're pick and choose. You got to win races. I've been really impressed with Anthony Macri. Is the whole team local PA guys? Who is the crew chief? Joe Mooney is from PA. He did work with Logan Schuchart, and then he worked at KKR, and then he worked at Macri. But yes, he is, I believe, from Lehighton, PA. And I think they're new guys from PA too. I think he's from the area. I think he was with Clausen Marshall, I believe. And he just wanted to come off the road. But I think he was from PA. I'm not 100% sure on that. Billy Dietrich will win a big show at Lincoln this year and will win at Clinton County. What big show at Lincoln? I no doubt he can win at Clinton County. He's really, really good at Lincoln County. Or Clinton County, I'm sorry. What is more surprising to you? Sheldon 0 top 10s last week or Connor Morrell qualifying 4th, 6th, and 9th all 3 nights? Sheldon. I had Sheldon, contending for a win down there. Yeah, I was wrong on that. I thought they would be better. Definitely need to, and it's not like they weren't working on things. It's not like they weren't working on. They didn't have time. I mean, Ripper was released in early October, after winning the National Open, so there was time there. Just wasn't a good week. I had a couple mechanical woes, I believe, the first night, and then so that dropped him back. He was up to 8th, and then they just didn't time well. They just struggled passing cars. So yeah, I'd say that's a bigger disappointment to me. Kudos to Connor Morrell, but they had some mechanical issues too, and it took them forever to kind of change it, to kind of change a rear end and do some other things. So they have some work in the pit area to do. Any change in your thoughts on Buddy's championship likelihood after Florida? I had a discussion with Dr. Midnight about this, and we have a bet, him and I, because I'll pretty much bet on anything. And Buddy's good. Buddy's the complete package. I said next year, 2027. Let's just say I'm less certain of it now than I was before the DirtCar Nationals starts. He made up 126 points, I believe, or something like that. So the one thing David Gravel has that Buddy doesn't is time trials. David Gravel might be the best time trial in history. They talked about that. Up there with Joey Saldana. Sorry, just got a text. Up there with Joey Saldana, Sammy Swindell, guys like that. David he's up front all the time. He's up front all the time. He's going to be in the dash almost every night. That's the one thing where Buddy needs to get better. But as far as everything else, he's right there. He's there. And he's going to continue to improve. And if they fix the time trial deal and get on par with David, Gravel's going to be in trouble. Because Buddy's really good. And we're going to have a big battle for the point championship, which I think the World of Outlaws need. I think they need that this year. And I think Buddy's going to give it to him. He just got a time there. It's the only hole in the game right now. Brian Carter's a douche. He should be in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. You might not like him, and that's fine. But the World of Outlaws would not exist if it wasn't for Brian Carter. They were in bad shape in 2005, 2006. The verge of bankruptcy. Carter brought him back from that. And look what he's built. It's a profitable business. I mean, you can say he's a douche. You could say you don't like him, and that's all fine. But if it wouldn't be for Brian Carter, the Outlaws wouldn't exist. And he should be in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Slam dunk. The modified races got to be a lot, but did their laps help the surface on Volusia's new dirt? Track qualifying for quality for sprint car features was great both weeks. They had no. I think it hurt Saturday. I think it helped Saturday. The modifieds have been on for years now. I think their track surface is better. Where they got Macri said it's not as sandy. There's more clay in it than there used to be. So everybody raved about it. But no, it was not the modifieds. Did the modifieds help Saturday because it was really fast? Probably. But normally, the other two nights, no. No, because the modifieds have been there in the past. The racing was better because of the track surface, and kudos to the World of Outlaws. Whatever they did, wherever they got it, it was good. Do you consider yourself a true outlaw picking and choosing all these events? I've always considered myself a true outlaw guy. I go where the story is. if possible. I mean, obviously with the business, I got to pay the freight. Yes, it's a write-off, but I go where I can. I'm based in central Pennsylvania, but again, there's been some recent changes, and I might travel more. We'll see. Opinion on the gravel Schuhart incident. It was a racing incident. You used the right term, incident. I mean, I thought gravel doesn't have a mirror, and Logan Schuhart had a huge run coming off that corner, and they met. It wasn't. I don't blame either. I just think it was a racing deal, and that's it. I don't know why gravel. I think sometimes gravel's trying to be a villain a little bit, and to get the crowd, whooped up a little bit, but it was a racing deal. Gravel is hard to beat from March through June. That's how he won the championship last year. Buddy will need to win a bunch of races during those months to have a chance. I think that's a fair assessment. Absolutely a fair assessment. I think Buddy's going to need to stay with gravel or pretty close to. He can't fall back. He can't fall behind by 200 points or anything stupid like that. He's going to have to stay close, and then obviously through the summer months, make a run like he did last year. And I think if he does that, he can win it. Jeremy, best options in 2026, full-time outlaw, high roller, or pick and choose? For drivers, it depends what you want. And if you're talking about me, I just go wherever. But for a team, if you want a structured 80 race schedule, you go World of Outlaws Racing. If you want a high limit schedule where you're going to run for a little more money, have a chance to have an asset and run other shows, pick and choose when you're not running high limit, then you take high limit. It's all what your team wants. As for me, I go wherever. You never know what Sugar Bear means. Hit the like button, guys. Let's keep getting Jeremy over 100. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that every week. Jeremy, what did you think of Tim's being a total non-factor at DirtCar Nationals? I talked to Shane Liebig down there, and I think people forget, yes, he won the Knoxville Nationals in dominating fashion last year. Then he came back a couple weeks later and won the Tuscarora 50 out of nowhere. His other results weren't as good as the year before as far as sanctioned events. The stats aren't lying. And Shane even said that when we talked down at DirtCar Nationals. He knew it. Now, they were great at Knoxville, and I'm not bagging on that team. I think Brian Timms has definitely improved. I think the situation is great for him. I think he's going to win races this year. But I think sometimes we just look at what he did in the Nationals or the Tuscarora 50. Sanction shows he struggled last year compared to the year before. When he joined that team, he was fast out of the gate, and he was a major factor with high limit. Last year, not as much. So, it becomes, what do you want to do? Do you want to win the Knoxville Nationals, or do you want to win, say, 5 outlaw shows? I'd win the Knoxville Nationals. So I'm not surprised that I don't want to say struggled. He had some problems on Saturday. But I'm not surprised. And it's DirtCar Nationals. Again, I agree with Macri when he said it doesn't, in the grand scheme of your season, unless you're a full-time regular with the World of Outlaws, it's not a big deal. Tim's is a flash in the pan. I think that's a bit much. I think that's a harsh assessment. He won the Knoxville Nationals and the Tuscarora 50. I don't think it's luck. He didn't luck into it. When you start 8th in your heat race and and you qualify for the Nationals. It's not luck. Nobody dropped out. So I disagree with that. Tanner only has 3, 4, 10 wins, and one was a shortened race, and all have been in small shows on the West Coast. He's going to have a tough year. I'm not saying a bad year necessarily. I agree with you. I said all that earlier. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying it's going to be tough on the road. It's a different animal. He's going to have to learn that team. He's going to have to, learn just better communication because he was running his own deal too. It's kind of hard. You don't have to communicate really with anybody when you're running the deal. And his sister was a big part of that. And by the way, does she work? Watch Carly Holmes work with the 1S. I saw it in Pennsylvania when she helped out Macri. She's a worker. She's going to be out there a long time. But yeah, tough year. Yeah, I could see that. When in the world, what? Where in the world is Jeremy Elliott? Oh, I'm in a hotel in Florida. There's still stuff going on down here. Please track total time in the work area. That's going to be hard to do. I didn't do it last week. I guess I could go on Dirt Vision and do that. But I just don't feel like tracking that. That could be a long time. It could be a long time. And I'm not there enough. I'm not on the road enough to do that. Which tour do you think would fit Macri best if he would go High Limit or World of Outlaws? I think High Limit. Because Anthony likes to come home. Anthony likes to sleep in his own bed. I think he's going to sleep in his own bed way more if he was with High Limit than he would with the World of Outlaws. Plus he's going to run 8 races at Port. Yeah, High Limit. Because he's going to be able to get to Knoxville. He's going to be able to run a bunch of World of Outlaws events, a bunch of shows in Pennsylvania, like Pennsylvania Speed Week, which he is the 3-time defending champion. So, yeah, I think High Limit would be a good spot for Anthony. It's a condensed schedule, and I know he doesn't want to – I know he likes coming home. Will SprintCarUnlimited sponsor the 2026 provisional champ title? No, not a chance. How about a SprintCarUnlimited app? They cost about $15,000 to $17,000 to develop because I'd want push button notification. I'm not saying no. If I would have been smarter when I started this whole deal back in 2017, I would have done an app from the start. That would have been the smart thing to do. And I didn't do that. You don't know what you don't know. And if I had it to do over again, I would do an app. But who knows? You never know what I'm going to do at this point. Like I said, some things are up in the air. But I regret that. That's a decision that I regret. Should have done that out of the gate. Macri will have 3 outlaw wins and 3 high limit wins, and hear me out, will win the Knoxville Nationals, get better sponsors, and runs full-time outlaw season next year. No, he won't. That's a lot to ask. He needs to get better at Knoxville. Last year he didn't make the field. I don't think. Maybe he did. I can't remember. But he's hit or miss at Knoxville. And I don't think he'll run World of Outlaws next year. Conor Morell to the work area before the feature green. What's the PM issues? What's the PM issues? I don't know what that means. Spell it out for me. Well, I get a drink of water. Yeah, Conor Morrell had rear end trouble. I think he had motor trouble. I think he had a bunch of trouble on Saturday night. It seemed anyone with an issue Saturday stopped on the track to get a yellow, even if they were out of contention. I agree. That's the part of the work area that bothers me. There's more guys sitting on the track. There's more guys stopping. And it's so they get these laps in the work area or get this time in the work area. And I just not a fan of it. That's the part I think that bothers me the most. It's not just the work area time. It's the guys stop to get work area time. So yeah, that's actually worse to me than the work area. When did Wu decide to shorten Saturday's feature? Before the A main. It had to do with fuel. And this is a big thing. I know Cody Jacobs was irate about this. I think Cody Jacobs had a right to be irate about this. Let's base these races on 30-gallon tanks. If you don't run a 28, if you want to run a 28, that's on you. That's on you. I want every race based on, not necessarily 33 because they don't hold 33. But let's split the difference. You base your laps, the race laps before fuel stop, on a 30-gallon tank. And I know they're not doing it. So, yeah, I just don't know why we're basing it on the smallest tanks. And I know tracks base it on 28s. That's on the team. It's not on the track or the race. Don't shorten it. Did Nick Macri sell the concrete business? There were changes. There were changes going on at Macri Concrete. Not for the bad. Not for the bad. Let's just leave it at that. The business is still great. Trust me. Do you think Chase Randall will have a good season this year in high limit? Well, he doesn't have Allbach. So obviously that's big hit. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. He didn't have a great year last year. In fact, I wouldn't even say he had a good year last year. Maybe the extra year will help. I think he'll be a little better this year. I think he'll be a little better. Why the drop to 25 laps for Saturday night sprint car feature? How close were they to a fuel stop? They did it because of fuel and the air, because the air is unbelievably good at Volusia. It was cold. They were worried again. I guess they were worried about fuel. I do not know how close they were. I believe Gravel had 6 gallons left. I believe, because I was over at his trailer and I did hear that thrown around by Cody and the crew. I do not know what lap they were on. I did not count them. My mistake, but I don't like the move down to 25 laps because, again, I feel it should be based on a 30-gallon tank. So, but the air was great and they were burning fuel, so that's why they did it. Why not put a limit on work area laps? I agree. Or pace laps for that matter. I mean, you burn 5 to 7 laps of pace laps before the A main. And then the work area, again, it's the same thing. You're burning laps. This is another problem to me. It's 100% right. Randall will have Adam Wallace the whole year. Was Axum's crew chief in 2025 for the 27 car. Think he will improve a lot. Had Wallace at the end of 25 Lakeside Path Valley runs. I mean, Chase, thank you for pointing that out. I think that, I mean, that could make a difference. The other thing is I just don't think he's going to be as bad as last year. It's kind of like Donnie. Donnie had the worst year possible. It's not humanly possible for him to have a year like that. So it was easy to say he's going to be better. And I think he showed that in Florida. I think Chase Randall definitely didn't meet expectations or even come close. So yes, I think he's going to be better. The Allbach money always helps. But if he's getting that crew chief back, Adam, great. I mean, that's good for High Limit as well. Thank you, Chase, for pointing that out. So why were they stalling the start of Saturday's event? Waiting for more fans to come in when it is standing room only, already typical World Racing Remove. Thanks, Brian Carter. Well, I mean, they had guys out. They had people. They had no place to park them. They just waited a little bit to get people in. I don't have a problem with. I mean, it was a huge, huge, huge crowd. So I'm not dying on that hill. But the flip side, when baseball says they're starting at 7:05, they start at 7:05. The hockey game I went to, 7:30, started at 7:30. So I understand the angst. I get madder when they're not ready because of things they control. Hence, track conditions, so on and so forth. Do you think the 17 GP is a title threat if they run Power Eye or the All-Stars? I think definitely more of a contender. Yes. Yes. Especially Power Eye, because that's down in Hank Davis's woods, so to speak. So yeah, I think with Power Eye, he would be more of a contender. All-Stars, I mean, Caleb Henry, I like Caleb Henry. So, but yeah, he would definitely contend more with either of those series. I heard 60 laps was the limit before a fuel stop. Do you know what the lap count was Saturday? It was 55 on Saturday. It was 55 laps. I do not know what they got to. I do not know what they were at when the feature ended. Sorry. I could be mistaken, but didn't the World of Outlaws make a rule about using different wings for qualifying and heat racing? I noticed Macri and Schuhart both had two different wings. A couple other guys did as well. They just weren't silver. I don't think they did. Man, I'm just thinking back to all the rule changes in the offseason. I don't know. I don't think they did. I think somebody might have, but I don't think the Outlaws did. Thoughts on Drake May's performance yesterday in the Super Bowl? I thought he was overwhelmed. I thought his inexperience showed. He didn't have a lot of blocking. But either did Matt Stafford, and Matt Stafford lit Seattle up. I just think it was an experience thing. I think it took Drake May 3 quarters to figure out the blitz package that Seattle was running. Credit to the head coach for Seattle, McDonald. Thought he did a great job. He's a defensive guy. And I just thought Drake May was overwhelmed, and it took him 3 quarters to kind of get, and even then he threw a really, really bad pick down the middle of the field. It's just not good. He just didn't look comfortable the whole game. And I chalk it up to being a second-year player. It just was overwhelmed. What damage did Brent Marks have that he couldn't complete? He couldn't complete from the dash to the A Friday night. More than enough work area time when B main was on. I just think he packed it in. Had some problems. Again, he's not running for points. Why blow a motor? Why? I wouldn't even go down. I just want, if I was a team like Gio Selzy, Rico, people wanted to know, oh, why weren't they there? Did High Limit tell them not to go? No, they didn't do it because the air is really good. You don't want to start two motors in the hole. And for what? So for a guy like Marks, I talked to him. He said, just, they had some problems and they just packed it in. No reason to do more damage. Gravel's on pace for 85 quick times. That is not a joke. No, it's not. It's incredible. It's incredible what he can do time trial. And that's the one thing I think that makes Buddy, my father called and I have to tell him I'm doing the live show. That's the one place Gravel gets Buddy. So they got to figure it out. And if he does, look out. Buddy's going to be a handful to begin with. And obviously it didn't matter on Saturday. He timed poorly, 10th in his flight, and he still went 21st to 4th. So that car does not see dirty air. For some reason, or Buddy doesn't care or doesn't feel it or whatever it is. He passes cars. So it should be a good year. There's one more thing Sheldon needs to change with the team to get him up front, but that's not going to happen. I would assume you mean crew chief. They won races together. They won their share of races. They've had good years, not so good years. We'll see. We'll see what happens the rest of the year. I'm not going to blame it on the crew chief. It was week one. They've had success in the past. Deep dive with Bad Bunny. Why? He's not involved in racing. Although I get way more views. Any driver for World of Outlaws or High Limit that you think might be better suited with the other series and why? I've talked about this. I think Carson Macedo. I think Logan Schuchart. And that's because I think they can finish higher in the standings, and I think they get a franchise, and obviously that's guaranteed money. Simple. It's a money thing. Plus, you can run all 7 six-figure shows as opposed to 5 of them. So for me, it would just be a money call. And from that standpoint, those two teams, even Sheldon, but look, there's something to be said for loyalty. I'm not going to discount loyalty, so credit to them. High Limit wouldn't exist without Brian Carter either. Yes, and I'm going to take it a step further that every World of Outlaws team should send Brad Sweet a thank you, because your higher purses wouldn't exist and your higher point fund wouldn't exist if not for High Limit. Competition breeds change. You have to be uncomfortable to make change. If you get comfortable, you don't change anything. That's throughout all of society. It's not just a racing thing. So I think they help each other. People won't admit it though. They don't want to admit that. Macri has been running a clean wing for qualifying for a while. No rule, team choice. Correct. Got to give a shout out to Carson Macedo to one hell of a DirtCar Nationals. Yeah, I mean, when you put it on the podium 3 times, I mean, it's not bad. Not bad at all. He's the only driver at 3 podiums. Might be a story on SprintCarUnlimited.com this week. And normally, one of the questions I asked him is, coming out of DirtCar Nationals, there's been times we've been saying, oh, God, look how far behind he is. Look at all the ground he has to make up. Not so right now. So great run for him at Volusia. And the other thing is he started 9th, 7th, and 12th, and he was able to pass cars. Don't diminish guys being able to pass cars and move around and have a good race trim package, so to speak. So, yeah, Carson Macedo, a great DirtCar Nationals. Belichick belongs in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question about that. I think Robert Kraft deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. The only thing I will say about the Belichick thing is, why did the rules change? Jimmy Johnson, Don Shula, they all had to wait 5 years. Now all of a sudden, Belichick only has to wait 1. I want to know why the rule changed. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in. Absolutely. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be a first ballot guy. He does. Why the rule change? And then stick him in that category yet. He wasn't, I think the Hall of Fame, I think what's going on there now, they value players over coaches. I think it's turned into a player Hall of Fame. And I can't say that's wrong, but yeah, I think that's all it is. And then he comes out and his girlfriend wears the stupid shirt, kind of mocking Kraft. I think his nonsense over the last year hasn't helped his cause, and it's been nonsense. So I don't know. I think it's hurt his legacy, but obviously it bothers him. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He'll get in. It's not like he's not going to get in, but no, I agree. He should be in. He should be in the Hall of Fame. People should just vote for who belongs. It's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of Fame. Why do people hate Carter? Or is it just high limit fans being high limit fans? No. The World of Outlaws have been called everything but the evil and the Red Army. They've been considered the evil empire for years. People don't like the Outlaws because rules usually start there and then they trickle down to the tracks. That's one reason. They think Carter and the World Racing Group skew things for their drivers. No, this is not a high limit thing. People have been saying that for years. They said it about Ted Johnson. But he has a legit shot at the title this year. We will be talking about him a lot. Yeah. I am nervous. Dr. Midnight, yes, I'm nervous about our bet. No calls. Do the phones work this week? Oh, okay. I'm surprised. Jeremy sounds like an Outlaws homer after this weekend. Must have gotten some scratch from Brian Carter. Oh, yeah. Hey, let me reach in my pocket. I have some lint. They gave me some lint. No, I do not get paid by any series. I know what I see, and Brian Carter's done a lot for this sport, and he's done a lot for that organization. To deny that just is uneducated. There's no other way to. It's ignorance. No, I am not a homer. It's funny, Sugar Bear. I've been accused of being a homer for High Limit. I've been accused of being a homer for the World of Outlaws. I've been accused of being a homer for California. I've been accused of being a homer now for Anthony Macri. How about I just follow the story? And whatever my opinion is my opinion. Sometimes it's going to be good. Sometimes it's going to be bad. Am I always right? No. But it's just, I just look at the facts and that's it. To be a fan of just one series seems dumb. You either like sprint car racing or not. People are going to have their favorites no matter what. We see it in NFL halftime shows. It doesn't matter. Society is getting just more and more fragmented, segmented, partisan, whatever you want to say. It's weird to me. I don't understand it. But it's not going to change. So Dr. Midnight is on the line. Doctor, how are you?
Well, I'm just calling to see if the phone lines are working.
Yes, they are. I was wondering the same thing.
Where's Jim from Buffalo? Where's Will? Where's the old folks home hotline? What's going on?
They probably don't know I moved to Monday.
You know what? Well, you got some people watching. 276.
Yeah.
We have that bet of the championship for the Outlaws, $50.
Yes.
And after watching Buddy this weekend, I'll let you buy out right now for $30. I'll save you $20 right now if you want to end the bet.
I can't do that.
You're not giving up yet.
I'm not. I'm sure you're gonna
save $20.
No. And look, Buddy. Buddy's great, and I think he's as good as gravel now. The one place gravel has him is time trial. That's the only thing I'm kind of hanging on to. But
they don't give points for time trialing, do they?
No, but they do it does put you in the position a lot of nights.
But Pittman won his title because of time trial.
Correct.
Points, I believe. That's when they got rid of it.
Yes. But no, I can't back out on it. I'm full. But now if you come back to me in 2 months and offer me 20-25, you never know.
No. This is the lowest. The next time I come back on, it'll be $35 to buy out.
Okay.
Haven't you ever bet on Robinhood during the games and watched the odds change?
Doctor, I bet on drive outcomes. So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm not going to lie. When we talked a little yesterday, it crossed my mind, but I'm going to stay the course. For now.
Okay. I would just like to point out that every year of Buddy's racing career, he has progressed forward.
Yep.
He's been racing since he was like 5 years old. This is almost 20 years. He's never had a year of stagnation. So for him to be second 2 years in a row would break a trend. And I know you like gambling on trends, but I'm just
I do. Look, I can't argue with that. I can't.
Okay. You're basing what you think is going to happen this year based on what you saw last year, not what's going to happen this year. Okay.
No.
But we'll see.
No.
You don't. I just wanted to see if you wanted to buy out.
That's not what I'm basing it on.
I also put a question in. Okay.
I'm basing it on time trials. I still saw gravel set quick time all 3 nights.
Okay. It's a long way to go. It's early. I just was giving you a chance to buy out if you wanted to. But
I know.
One last question I put in the chat group. Eric didn't put up. If the Cowboys were in the NFC Championship game and it was going on the exact same time that the Canadian team was playing for a hockey gold medal and you could only watch one, which would you watch?
Damn, that's a hard question. Jesus. Because I think Canada's unbelievable. I'm watching. You know what? I'm watching hockey.
You can't go back and forth.
Nope.
You got to stick with one.
Connor McDavid and Celebrini on the same line, and then Crosby and McKinnon. Yes.
That trumps your Cowboys NFC Championship game.
I know what's going to happen to the Cowboys in that game. so I'm watching, and I took my daughter and I talked about this before. I took my daughter to see the Penguins because she just wants to see good players, and we saw Connor McDavid in that game. Watching him is must-see TV. One of the top 5 athletes I've ever seen in person, and I've seen a lot of great athletes, and I can't turn that off. Nope.
Okay, that's it. I'm waiting for the other call. Maybe I've kicked the door open. Whether the phone lines are working.
Well, they better. We got 18 minutes left. So
For the show?
Yep. I've been on for an hour and a half.
I thought these were 2.5 hour shows.
No. Not this week. Maybe next week.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Back to the show.
Yep. Thanks, Doctor. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Always good to hear from the doctor. All right. What else do we got here? This is Eric's second show of the night. He did a modified show with Mike Mallet. Credit. Shout out to Eric bringing it after a full day's work at his tech job. Will there ever be any more sprint car teams running Toyota or Ford engines? Seems like we're down to just Roth now. I don't know about the Fords. Peck wasn't running them this past week. So I think you'll see more Toyotas, yes. I think people are definitely going to be walking down that road. Now, the only thing is you don't have Buddy in the seat. But I think the Toyotas are ready to be on the market. Are you coming to the high banks? There's a good chance I'm coming to Houston's. We'll see. Because there's also been some. I was contemplating going to Super Dirt Cup. And the reason is I want to see Skagit. They have big races out there. And I don't know if I want to go to the Skagit Nationals because then it's a trip to Knoxville, back home. Then a week later, trip back out there, and then come back home and do Tuscarora 50. I don't know if I want to jam all that into 3 weeks. So I don't know yet. We'll see. I'm going to be in the next month or so. We will see what the deal is. I'm going to know more about my situation at that point. I don't know. We'll see. Can't answer it now, but it's definitely on my radar. How about that? Carly Holmes will be a female crew chief in the next 5 years. I agree. There's nothing else other than to say that. Yes. Jeremy, did the Chaz adorn you with any gifts in Florida? No, I only saw him. I saw him in the distance a couple times. I walked past him once. I don't know where he was at the bulk of the week. I know he was there. So no, I really didn't. I really didn't talk to him over the past week. I was kind of on the move a lot. Did Redeem drop the Ford? I heard Kevin bought a new Charlie Garrett a few Charlie Garrett engines at last year's end. This is the deal. From what I gather, there's been a couple problems. He did not drop it, but they're going to probably run the Chevys until the Ford is up to the level of Chevys. I heard that from a very reliable source on Saturday. But no, they didn't drop them. Thought Marks would rebound Saturday with an A main front row start after DNQ Friday night too. No, it was. Again, I think they were feeling some stuff out, shaking the rust off, and it just no. I think he'll be in good shape out in Las Vegas. Gravel thought Macri was Dietz. Anthony you rocked his world, posse proud. Yeah, I mean, again, as I said earlier, Macri just diamonded off that corner, and it said it's something he saw in the 360 race. So yeah, I mean, I think Gravel thought he had it once he slid Dietz, but didn't happen. Macri passed them both. It was just great racing all week, by the way. Volusia, the World Racing Group, did a great job. The 23 Stamen Motorsports got better each time out in the track. Yeah, they timed well, made 2A mains. I think that's pretty good for Chase Dietz' first visit to, the DirtCar Nationals. I mean, they could have raced better. Obviously, you don't want to get lapped. But, again, to make those fields, to make 2 or 3, those are stacked fields. So I think it was a good trip for Stamen and Chase Dietz. Agreed. Are you going to go to any of the late model races at Volusia while you're there? I might be at one of them, 1 or 2 of them. Yes, there is a possibility. Jeremy, RPM workshops this week. Yes, they're on my radar as well. That was golden that Gravel thought the car was Macri, snookered him. Love, love, love. Yeah, Gravel doesn't have as many fans now. It seems like, or it should say it's a little more boisterous against. But I think Gravel embraces it. And, look, Gravel's going to win his share. Enjoy it now. Enjoy it now. Because Gravel's still going to win 15 to 20 races. He's still going to make a ton of money. And I have him to win the title. So don't forget, he did have a pretty good DirtCar Nationals point deals. He's tied with Buddy Kofoid. It's fine. Oh, Eric I think Eric might have pooped out. Oh, no, there he is. Jeremy, did you order room service while on the road? I do not order room service on the road ever. Ever. No. Absolutely not. I'm not that much of a high roller. I'm kind of usually when I go on a trip for racing, I'm usually in a restaurant. I'll go, and as I'm eating lunch or whatever, I'm working. I'm typing something. So no, I'm not ordering room service. I saw the PA Posse streaming schedule included races from BAPS Motor Speedway. Where does this leave SprintCar Unlimited streaming in 2026? I figured this was coming. Yes, I have lost the pay-per-view for BAPS Motor Speedway. That is true. So as of now, we're still trying to hopefully get the Speed Week shows. We'll see. But yes, no, we did lose BAPS Motor Speedway to PAPosse.tv. That could lead to some changes in the platform. Doesn't mean we're going away or anything. It doesn't mean I'm folding up shop. It just means that I might shift some coverages. I might do some different things. Could mean more YouTube shows. A Sugar Barrel like that. And, actually, Eric and I talked today a little bit about some show development stuff. I still have all the streaming equipment. So if somebody wants us to stream a race for them, we can, obviously, or we could use that equipment for something else. But yeah, I mean, it could shift our, kind of where we go or what we do a little bit. Could be a restructuring at SprintCarUnlimited.com. That's on the board as well. So we'll see what's going to happen. But yes, we're no longer at BAPS Motor Speedway. They made the decision to go with PAPosse.tv. Do I agree with the decision? No. But that's what they decided to do. And, we will adjust accordingly. Oh, see, Dr. Midnight asks, and Will responds. Will on line 2. Will, we're a little short on time, so what do you got for me?
Well, I was wondering, did either series, the 410 series, High Limit or Woo, change their work area rule?
Yes, High Limit did change their rules. It's now 1 minute for a tire. If you took a provisional, you can't go to the work area. If you're lapped, you get no time in the work area. So yes, High Limit got closer to what I feel it should be. The Outlaws are still holding fast on their current rules.
Okay, and I'd like to address the 30-gallon fuel tank. They need, yes, Cody Jacobs should be pissed. I mean, he's running for points.
Yes.
And you basically let an out-of-towner guy have an advantage.
Well, yes. I mean, now, in all fairness, gravel runs 30-gallon tanks all the time. So it's not something that threw off his car. Now, at the beginning, the fuel load being on it, that does affect it differently, obviously. But, yeah, I just don't know if you set a race, unless you're talking about tire wear. Tire wear is a different animal because you're blowing tires. You don't want 24 guys blowing tires. That I understand. Track being abrasive. This I don't, because they can just put bigger tanks on. That's it. So, again, I don't agree with it, but that's what they did, and they've done it before, and they're going to do it again at some point.
Yeah, it's a big part of the show. They're trying to turn, or they've been trying, in my opinion, to turn sprint car racing into NASCAR racing, where there's pit stops. And for the longest time, there wasn't. If the guy went in, he pulled the plug. He was done. Why start at the tail against these guys,
I don't think it's changing it to NASCAR. I don't buy that. What I think it is streaming has taken over the sport. And the work area is a streaming thing because you can sit at home and you can watch the work area. And whether I like it, which I don't, whether other people like it, is something that is streaming friendly. It's something that works for streaming. So they're not trying to make it NASCAR because there's really still nothing in a sprint car race that's like NASCAR. But I do believe they do it. They'll sell it as, these guys are running for a lot of money. The other thing is and I've heard this mentioned, they don't want their guys, like people are paying to see Sheldon.
I would just like to see.
Wait, people are.
Yeah, I would just like to see less of the pit stops.
Well, look, I'm not going to disagree. I don't like it from a time standpoint, but people they're selling it as, people want to see Sheldon, they want to see Donnie, they want to see the stars, and if they don't have a work area, they might be out early and they can't get back in. I'm not big into the work area, but there are people who are. There are people who like it. So it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay. You just got to hope they put rules in that make it good. So, but we're running out of time. What's that? What's that, Will? Hello.
I know. I agree with you a little bit. That Sheldon has been a disappointment in some people's eyes, but at the same time, it's just like the first race of the season,
Yeah. Now, Will, I have to get back to the chat. We might go like a couple minutes over just to get everything in, but I got to get back to the chat. Next week, I'll be back on my regular time on Tuesday. I appreciate you calling.
All right. Take care.
You too, Will. All right. Let's get through these chat questions. We're going to go as quick as we can. All three cars in Saturday's B main wreck crashed data loggers and Woo Race Control called for getting the IDS data from all 3 cars. Will Woo share any data or lessons learned from that data? In time. I don't expect it to happen now. I don't expect you to know each week. I don't expect a report to be any each week. The World of Outlaws don't really share a lot of the behind the scenes information. I think if you see a rules change or a product change, I think that's where you'll know what the data said. So I don't expect that they're just going to release it every week. What's the decision point for shortening a race versus having an open red for fuel? Seems arbitrary to not decide that up front. They did decide it up front. They decided before the A main. They didn't shorten it during the A main. They shortened it before the A main. So in this case, they did decide before the feature ever rolled out. Now, I think it goes to air, how much fuel they're burning, so on and so forth. Any updates on Skylar G? None as of yet. I've not heard anything. Jeremy, if you had to bet your life savings on gravel or Kofoid championship in 2026, who do you choose? Whether it's my life savings or $50, I bet to win. The amount of money doesn't change it. I like to win. Dr. Midnight knows I like to win. So it doesn't matter the amount. I took gravel. I'm still leaning toward gravel. Nothing's changed. I'm just a little leery of it. That's all. How many non-Woo teams will return to Volusia in March? A lot less. I expect them to maybe have 25, 26 cars. I don't think Macri's coming back. So definitely it'd be a lot less car count. I don't think you'll see high limit teams there either. Jeremy, you know if Brian Brown had any lingering issues driving? Stiffness. He said he'd get a stiffness in his wrist and it would go up his arm, but he was pain-free. He didn't have any pain. He had free movement. It was just stiff. But that could have been Nicole. And he looked good on Saturday night. He was on the wheel. I believe he got 4th, 5th, just without looking. So looked good on Saturday. But yeah, he still had stiffness. Other than Knoxville and Eldora, what races should a diehard Central PA fan make a point to go to? I'd go to Houston's. They have a new track surface this year. If you're going to go to the West Coast, I think you're going to Tulare, Chico, or Silver Dollar, it's called, whichever one you want to call it, and Skagit. I would go to Kokomo. There's a 2-day show at Kokomo with High Limit, I believe. I would go there. I like Lernerville. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good trips out there, whether it's Outlaws or High Limit. When you interviewed Dennis Gainey last year, do you have any idea what kind of situation he'd be in less than a year later? No. And really, full disclosure, I wondered probably in November where the money came from. But, probably my mistake not putting 2 and 2 together. I've been in this business long enough. But, I mean, look, I'm not in a courtroom. I'm not part of the company. I'm not part of his organization. We'll see how it all shakes out. I'm not going to do this guilty before innocent thing. Okay? I don't know enough about the situation. I know obviously the amount is a lot. And look, there's definitely a red flag there. No doubt about it. But again, we'll see. Thoughts on Kevin Now's taking new role as race director at Williams Grove? I think it'll streamline some things. I think he obviously has knowledge. He was on the road, did it for the All-Stars. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well there. Did Gainey add money to PA Speed Week, or am I remembering incorrectly? He was on the sponsorship list for the Steve Smith tribute race. He is no longer on that list. No longer on that list. So it has been taken off. Did Rudine drop the Ford? I heard, no, we already got that one. We already tackled that one. Merch updates. I sent a design over. I've not heard from the guy yet. Now, he probably knows I'm in Florida. I'll check. When I get back, I'll check on Friday what the status of that is. I know, Jeremy, you will say nobody owes you anything, but those in charge of the PA Posse Sprint Series seem to shit on the guy that promotes the posse the most. Yeah, they don't owe me anything. I'm going to say that. You know what? It's business. Sometimes I don't always agree with the business, but I'm also the one who is not coming out on top in this business, in that business. So of course I'm going to think that. There's some things I wish it would have been handled differently, but that's fine. And, we'll move on and we'll try and do some different things. West Coast question. What is preventing Wu from scheduling races that NARC and High Limit compete at? I think it's, the Outlaws just don't have many dates to go out there, meaning just when they're going to be out there. I mean, there's just limited dates. And they're not going to do that. They only have 2 weekends to be out there. That's the problem. And then they can't go back to Tulare because Tulare has a fair. So that's why they had to move to Stockton. He moved the Roth to Stockton. So I don't know. I don't know if World of Outlaws long-term works out there or not. We'll see if they do well this time. I hope everybody makes money. I don't ever want a series or a track not to make money. Obviously, you want them to be in business. So I just don't think it worked out this year that way. But they're not going to schedule with NARC and High Limit, or it's just they have to worry about their schedule and what their schedule looks like. When they can get out there. Any info with all the rear end failures at Volusia this year? Is the new easier on engines but harder on rear ends? There's a bearing issue on Schatz' deal. They know what it is. They're going to fix it. No, there were engine issues too. There were guys. I mean, the air was just too good. As far as the rear ends, yeah, I mean, Conor Morell, I believe Cole Macedo. Obviously, Donnie had some rear end issues, but theirs wasn't related to running at DirtCar Nationals. So I really don't know. I really don't know that. I still think it was hard on motors. Darren Knighted to the Ed Newmeister 11N. Great selection of young racer ready for the next step outside the family ride. Yes, great pickup. Thank you for mentioning that. With me down here, kind of sometimes some things slip past me, and that one did. Do you think Cole Macedo will win a feature with the Outlaws this year? Huh. Man, I thought so starting the year, but they didn't look really good this week. So I'm gonna say no. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for everybody joining the show, switching nights. I appreciate it. We'll be back to Tuesday night next week, so stay tuned.